Aloha, folks. Welcome to Hawaii Kaika. I have special guests. Actually, as I mentioned before too on my Facebook, this is going to be the last episode for this quote-unquote season of Hawaii Kaika. We're going to, take on pause for a little while and then start up the season again. But for the last episode, we have to do a banger. So we have this gentleman named Kaipo Crowell. I've actually only met him just a couple times in the fellow Native Hawaiian circles. He's been in leadership for a very long time, and he's a mutual friend to a lot of the guys that I know that you've also seen on the channel too. He's very active in training people and very active in the community, and he's all for strengthening the Lahui. And I don't want to give away too much of his material, so I'm gonna let him talk story and introduce himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the banger episode, we have my man Kaipo Crowell. Brother, if you could please.
Hey, aloha, mahalo, brother. I appreciate the time to share with you folks. I guess I'm just going to give some background, if that's okay. So I grew up a local boy. I grew up in Manalani Heights, Kaimuki. My roots have always been faith and family. I got a pretty big Hawaiian family, bro. The Harbatos is one big Hawaiian family, right? And I used to tell my kids, hey, watch out who you go out with, because it could be your cousin. And shoot, and you could throw a rock, in the neighborhood, you hit probably one of my cousins. But family was big. So my grandmother, all pure Hawaiian. And my father was, almost full Hawaiian, and my mother was like a quarter Hawaiian. So I get like, my actual Hawaiian is 7/16, but I round them up half so I can get the Hawaiian homes. But so it's been faith and family. I grew up as a Christian Catholic. My mom was real strong Catholic, so I went to Catholic school, elementary. Started to see out in Wailai Kahala area, but then I went to Kamehameha from 7th grade, and a lot of people know this, right? Kamehameha is a Christian school as well. I mean, there's a lot of, faith at Kamehameha. And then, from there, I went to a Catholic university, University of Portland in Oregon. And that's where I met my wife. In fact, she actually went to Punahou, and she was 1 year younger than me, but I met her up there. And I still love her, even though she went Punahou. But I get 3 kids. My oldest daughter, Kamaili, Hanale, my second daughter, and my son, Kainoa. Well, what's sad for me is my daughters, they live in the mainland. So my grandkids, they live in the mainland. So we got to travel a lot. And that's my number one job right now is, kind of sharing our values, our family values with them. So we try to go visit them frequently. So family's still big, right? And faith is still big. I grew up in a house where I had a strict dad. My dad was in the army, lifer in the army, went to 2 wars. He was in the Korean War, Vietnam War, and I never know too much about the war. And he never talked too much about it. But I remember always saying that, hey, he don't feel sorry for anybody because he saw suffering. So I never say, oh, what you mean? But, you got to imagine, you go war, you're going to see suffering, right? So he always told me, don't feel sorry for yourself. There's a lot of people suffering out there. So, but he's strict. He was the dean of discipline up St. Louis High School. He taught ROTC up there. Growing up in my house, the number one value in our house was respect. Ho'ihi, especially for women and especially for the kupuna. I disrespected my mother once because my father did wall-to-wall therapy with me. And that was it, bro. It's like, I understand now. No, I ain't going to do that kind of therapy again. But,
I'm laughing at you, I promise. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Shoot. But I learned a lot from him. He's one of my, one of the best leaders I ever, that I get 3 real solid leaders that I look up to. One is my dad. My other is my wife, because she's solid. We've been married 38 years, and she's the leader of our family. And then Princess Pauahi, Bishop, because she gave us a lot of, she gave us Hawaiians a lot of opportunity. And it's our responsibility to kind of jump on that and take advantage of it and share that response, share what the gifts that we got from her and her foresight. Wow, bro. I just think that we're not doing enough with what she's given us. So I know I owe a lot to her as well. So those are kind of three leaders that I look up to. So, after school, I wanted to come home, right? So before the last semester at college, because I was going there for an engineering degree, the shipyard came up and then they hired me for my last semester before I graduated. Oh, I was so happy. I was going to go home and I screwed up, right? I just took it easy the last semester. And so my grade point average went down. And then shoot, bro, I went down to GS5 instead of GS7, bro. Oh, to this day, I don't mention it to my wife, bro. She goes, "Oh, should be well, nuts, bro." But I went, and so now I tell kids, hey, don't stop, don't fall short. Whatever you do, go all out, continue to go all out. And that was just kind of immaturity back then, but I was happy to come home, come into the shipyard, train as a nuclear engineer. And I never know what nuclear was back then, right? But it's pretty exciting. It was a pretty exciting career. I spent 38 years in the shipyard. Was in 4 different departments. I tell people this because, man, I spent most of my time in engineering or the radiological control office, but then they sent me over to production. And you should see all the superintendents, the shop superintendents. Oh, piss off, because why are they going to send an engineer to run the shops, right? And I can see their point. And but what I had to do, I had to build their trust, earn their trust. And so I spent most of my times in the shop and on the waterfront to really learn what the trades do and what their, what the headaches are. And I think I gained some of their respect by just being there. But I tell you, that's where things happen in the shipyard, is down on the waterfront on production, The last 6 years at the shipyard, I was the nuclear engineering manager. That's the senior civilian in the shipyard too. You enter the senior executive service as the nuclear engineering. There's 4, public shipyards, and there's 4 SESs at the different shipyards. And the reason why I mentioned that is it was first time one local person became the SES, at Pearl Harbor. And in the SES, get about 2,000 SESs in the federal government, I think, about 2,000. 0.15% are Native Hawaiian.
Wow, it's amazing.
So 0.15%. And the reason why I got there was because of all the 6,000 people at the shipyard, and I wanted to make sure that they knew that, right? But to me, I loved the shipyard. I loved everything about the shipyard, our mission. But I love the people the most. It's like my family, man. It's like my family business. I don't miss the grind. I retired 2 years ago. I don't call it retired. I call it refreshed, because I don't feel tired. I feel fresh. And but I don't miss the grind, but I miss the people. And I love our mission and what we did, but the people were special. They still are special. I still keep in touch with a lot of them. So that takes us up to where I am now. Right now I'm kind of doing some consulting work, primarily working on workforce development efforts. I'm trying to figure out what kind of jobs are needed in the future in Hawaii, so we can start developing kind of on K through grade pathways. Keep the local kids here, develop them from school, and could be trades. I got to tell you, I got into the point where I'm not going to encourage my kids to go trades because it's hard work. But you can live in Hawaii. You go work trades. You can live in Hawaii, and you go look at all the construction going on now in Hawaii. It's good and bad. It's bad because it's just booming, but it's good because we can keep our kids home and they get jobs. And I work closely with the University of Hawaii College of Engineering to get that pathways to, the engineers, get them into jobs. So I'm working primarily with workforce development, and then also doing some leadership development seminars. And a lot of it is, just donating, volunteering time to go do that. Because we need that. I tell you, if there's any time this nation, our state need right now is leadership. We all got to be leaders. We cannot wait for anybody up there to set the direction. We got to have a vision. We got to be leaders in our family. We got to be leaders in our community. We got to be leaders in society. And we special because we know how it was. We know our family. We know aloha. We know all that. Now we got to go contribute. We got to go lead and kind of go show the way. So that's where we are right now.
Bro, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I heard a little bit about what you were doing from some of the mutual friends there, like Maka and Lance, and all of those guys was, talking a lot about you, bragging about you. When you were talking about your dad,
yeah,
that kind of hit me to the heart too, because I'm really close to my dad. My dad never did the wall-to-wall therapy with me.
Oh, you're fortunate.
But my dad was it was interesting because he was a behavior specialist.
Oh.
And he did like operant conditioning and psychological warfare. You know how you
yeah.
think right there. So he knew how to reinforce behavior. So with him, he never have to do wall-to-wall. He just
yeah.
You do all this kind
of the mind one, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish my father learned that.
But it really got my attention. I was just curious, what was the influence your dad had on you, on your career path and your adulthood? What was the influence that he had on you? Whatever you're willing to share.
Yeah. We kind of tease a lot. We tease our kids. Oh, yeah, we're gonna give you and this is what my dad would tell us too, but yeah, I can give you 3 things in life. I can give you my faith, I can give you my education, and I'm going to give you my good looks. And then he would tell me, well, I gave you 2. I give you our faith and education. So, he kind of influenced, he wasn't one spiritual guy, but somehow he influenced my faith just because the way he kind of operated with hope and faith and gratitude. And even though he was strict like that, Bugga was real faithful. But definitely he encouraged education. I remember telling him, "Oh, I like going to the armed services. I want to join the army. I like be just like you." No, you're not going to join the army. You can go, find another path. The army is tough. Go find another path for you and your family. But he taught us early about the importance of finances. And I thought that was, unique at the time, how to budget, how to, and he even taught, sat down me and my wife before we were married. He goes, the one thing that you guys would, break up couples is financial issues. So he would talk to me and my wife before we were married, so you got to get your stuff together on financial issues. So that's how he influenced me. That the other thing, I was a lot like him when I first started. You must have heard how bad I was. Piece off. Oh, wow. So, I felt it, bro. I was in nuclear engineering, and I wasn't going to let anything happen to my people, our workers. I wasn't going to let anything happen to the sailors, and I damn well nothing going to happen to my Aina. And so I would make sure that nothing like Red Hill would ever happen under my watch. That's how intense I was. And sometimes I was just too intense, and I got that. He influenced me a lot about that too. If you're not doing it right, do them, or I'm going to make sure you do them right. And he was pretty influential on the mindset of doing things right and being hard on others who weren't. And nowadays that's not motivating too, you know, the way my dad taught me and the way I was kind of brought up early on in my career. You're not going to motivate people by being pissed off, right? So now you're going to you got to make them understand why it's important, you know, kind of explain more why it's important. So that's how my dad kind of influenced me, kind of with faith, education, you know, and think about finances early, but always do things right and hard. Do it hard, you know, work hard. He's a good guy. Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. We need more influences like that. Yeah, nowadays, you know, especially when you're talking about finances.
Yeah. Yep.
If you were to think about your greatest successes and challenges you've had in life, what would you say are those successes and challenges? Yeah.
So I'm going to tell some story. If that's all right, if I can tell you some stories. Okay. And we're going to touch on those, you know, because I really believe, like right now, like I said, there's a leadership gap, I think, in our society that I think Native Hawaiians can fill. And it starts with, you know, first we leading ourselves. We got to lead ourselves first. Okay. And then, you know, to me, I feel like when we first, by leading ourselves, we got to know our values. What's our real personal values, our core values? And too often we think we get core values, but then ego or, you know, success or something else throws us off our core values. So it's really important to take time to reflect and be very self-aware. Because in my opinion, values influences our mindset influences our behaviors, and our behaviors reveal our character. And so if there's one thing I would recommend, because this was one of my failures, is not realizing how much my values affect my behaviors. And so I had to go back and realign with my values and say, hey, that's inconsistent. You cannot act like that. You cannot behave that way. So that's one thing. Start leading yourself is understanding your values. The other one I would say is, you know, always be a continuous learner. You know, people ask me, hey, you bored? You bored now that you retired? Hey, now that I'm retired, I got more stuff to do. And more people, and the more people we touch, the people who don't look like us or don't like have our same, you know, thoughts or opinions, go meet with them, go listen to them. Oh, we learn a lot, you know, be a continuous learner. And that's how you lead yourself. And then, but the most important part, focus on your health and, you know, spiritual, emotional, physical, mental health. And don't be scared about when you're not healthy. And to me, that's the biggest lesson learned that I could pass on to anybody, is that I focused on my health too late in my career. About 10 years ago, I got really sick, and it wasn't physical sick. It was mental sick that affected my physical, you know, my physical. And so I had to learn the hard way, bro. And so, you know, get enough sleep, get some habits, you know, do the right habits. But to me, you got to start leading yourself. And so I think, you know, one of the big changes in my life was learning these habits to reflect on my values, you know, always be so you are humble to learn. You will always be a learner. And then really focus on health. Health is number one, bro. So, you know, to me, that's where we first got to start. And then we got to lead with others. And this is where I'm going to talk about some of the challenges and stories that I get. I had 4 big challenges while I was a leader in the shipyard. The first one was when they were going to close the shipyard back in 2005, because we were terrible. We performed terribly, and we all stayed in our own silos. It was real typical, you know, crappy organization. We never cared about anybody else but ourselves. And so it took a lot of leadership to change that culture around. Yeah. So that was one big one. It you know, it was scary thinking that, you know, there's going to shut down the shipyard. The other one was when we did one reduction in force. had to let go like I don't know, I forget how much we had to let go, but in my department alone was like 35, 40 people that we had just fire them. And they just bought their own house, they just had kids. And it took leadership to, either help them relocate, but it also, how we're going to, reallocate the work. But to me, the biggest challenge I faced was the December 4th, 2019 shooting on the shipyard. I was right there, bro. I saw the brothers for the last time. And I had to go talk to their families afterwards. And, that was rough, bro. And that was the biggest challenge, I think, in my career. And then you got to recover from that, And I felt like, oh, shit, I let the command down. I never know exactly. I didn't push hard enough for mental health. I never pushed hard enough on so many things. So, that kind of bothered me. And then finally the pandemic affected everybody. But me and Captain Burton, the last shipyard commander, we came and we said, hey, we're just going to go with 3 principles. The first principle is we're going to protect the workers. That's going to be number one. The second principle is we're going to prevent the spread to each other. And then the third one was going to worry about the mission. You take care of the first 2. You see the people, man. They really work towards the mission. But you really got to focus on the people. So I think as leaders, when we lead with others, we got to learn how to communicate. We got to learn how to trust. We got to learn how to be accountable for ourselves, set expectations. And, I think that helped through some of the challenges. I don't have many successes as an individual, but our command, our organization had plenty of successes, So that's some of when you start talking about challenges and successes, it's all about leading, in my opinion. Lead yourself and then lead with others. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I totally remember that incident too. I think I was working at Waihata.
You was working with Hata. Oh, nice.
Waihata for a little bit, and had some guys. I think had some guys had actually came to us from the shipyard too. Just like couple guys. I was driving truck, and but when that happened, I know they had them on the news, and that kind of freaked me out.
Yeah,
it was crazy, man.
Yeah, bro. Plenty of people were texting me about so and so. Have me go check on them, their family like that, and bro, it was rough, bro.
Yeah.
And just seeing everybody, just watching everybody leave, and looking in their eyes, like, oh, bro, how we gonna get through this, bro? It was rough.
I can imagine. If I know you already gave a lot of great advice already. What would you say is something you'd want to share with some of the brothers out there that are struggling, Polynesian brothers going through challenges right now? Like, what advice would you want to give them, knowing what you know now?
Yeah, I get so much on my mind that I could tell them. But so first, I would ask him, like, for real, go take inventory of their core values. Are they living within alignment with their core values? And go talk story to people that they love and they respect to see if they really are living through those core values. See, one thing really good, and this is another advice, by the way. The best thing a father can do is love their kid's mother. So, my wife, she was there to, tell me when I was off track. And so you got to find somebody you love and respect to tell you either align with your values or you're not, and you got to get back on track. But I would also recommend that they go look maybe in 6 areas and do a self-assessment, self-reflection in 6 areas. Their faith, because everybody get their own faith, right? Their family. How's the family? It's, just like our family. I love them all, but I don't like some of them. That's just it, right? And we get family problems, and let's go address the family problems the best we can. Finances, are you paying yourself first? Fitness, how well you're doing in fitness. Friends, your connections, your relationships, because that brings you energy, right? How you doing with the friends? Um, and then, how you setting yourself up for the future? So, just go look at those 5 F's, 6 F's or something, and just, doing self-assessment. Am I okay? Or do I need to go work? For me, I never took care of my fitness appropriately. Couldn't sleep. Oh, now I sleep like a baby, but couldn't sleep. And I was just taking it for granted that, I could sleep on 4 hours, but it really is important. You go look at the whole spectrum of your whole life, because no such thing as work-life balance. I don't know who made that up, but no such thing. It's all integrated. It's all life, right? And you just got to go find, where you place your priorities. And you know what, brah? Another thing I would recommend is keep one good schedule. Even now I keep one good schedule. And before I used to color code them what was important. But the reason why you do that is you evaluating if you're putting your energy in the things you value. Like if you value family, is it really in your schedule? You value your fitness, is it in your schedule? And a lot of times we use schedule of 6:30 to 3, just work schedule. But we managing our energy. This is what Nomana taught me. Nomana taught me we manage energy, we don't manage time. So that would be some suggestions, but it gotta be, man, if you can master self-awareness, you headed in the right direction.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you said, in fact, all the stuff you said has been part of my self-assessment, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially when this whole pandemic started. Oh, talk about really digging down deep and finding out, okay, who am I really? Because, getting all these challenges coming up. The whole thing you said about taking better care of my health. I've always been pretty good about working out.
Mm-hmm.
I eat pretty decent as well, but my sleep was always my problem. I think
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I know as a kid I had ADHD, and now I get coping mechanisms how to deal with it, but my mind is always thinking about stuff. So I'm always up late trying to do this,
Yeah.
My wife constantly telling me, "Brah, you gotta go sleep." And only now I'm trying to get that, but hard too when you get one 3-year-old and one 7-year-old.
Oh yeah. It's hard. So how do we influence that? Like even my son will listen to me. I mean, right? I mean,
yeah,
because I'm often seeing peers influencing peers more than, and I'm always thinking, how do we influence that self-awareness? And then you got to take action after that, right? And that's where maybe we can help on the action part. But I'm interested in, your ideas, everybody's ideas of how we influence getting to that point, then being introspective and then taking action to change.
Ooh, bro, I guarantee this episode, I'm gonna put this everywhere. Everybody gotta hear this, man. No, I really appreciate you, Kaipo, for just taking the time, because I know you're busy. I know you're super busy.
No, bro, I get more. Like I said, I get more time than money, bro. I like connecting, bro. Like tomorrow, I'm gonna have lunch with Lance. We can talk story. We're not gonna talk business. We talk family, right? So I like connecting, bro.
Yeah. No, that's too good, man. And and thanks for connecting with me too. Like even though I know,
oh yeah, mahalo, bro.
It's only been a few times we've talked story and whatnot, but I guarantee I'm gonna be contacting you again for advice. And if you ever want to talk about like computer-based learning, e-learning modules,
yeah,
all that design and development, I'll be more than happy to just talk story with you about ideas and stuff. And Maka every once in a while will ask me some things about like, hey, how you made this training or how does whatnot, and so I'm more than willing to just talk shop if you ever
right
want.
Right on, bro. I appreciate that. but I like your forum, bro. It is reaching out, bro. You influencing and you inspiring, so that's leadership. So I appreciate that.
Oh, bro, coming from you, that means a lot.
Right on, bro. No, I really appreciate it, bro.
Yeah. No, thank you, big time, man. I seen you on the news. I'm gonna have to ask you for your autograph one of these days because I seen you on the news several times before, and I think it's really cool what you're doing, bro. So please don't stop.
Right on, right? Yeah. No, I get plenty of energy, bro.
That's good.
Yeah.
But everybody, mahalo for watching Ho'ikaika, and gotta thank Kaipo again for doing this show, brother. Guaranteed.
Right on, bro.
Again. Yes,
right on. Mahalo. Aloha.